underneath you, or a soft but firm surface, because we will be lying down on our back quite a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and turn away from you so that you can get a side profile of what I'm going to be doing. And I just want to start with our feet planted on the mat. And your legs together, your hands just behind the backs of your knees, on the backs of your legs. And let's sit up just as tall as you can. So I want you to think about really just trying to lengthen your spine. Imagine you are a puppet and your puppet master is kind of just pulling you up by the little hairs on the top of your head, and you're getting a little bit longer. Take a big breath in, and on your exhale, all I want you to do is start to draw your navel or your belly button away from your thighs. And as you breathe in again, get taller, and on that exhale, pull your navel away from your thighs, and let's start to allow our hips and our pelvis just to roll back a few inches closer to the mat. I'm still holding on to the backs of my thighs, and then just pulling myself back up. So you might not need to use any upper body strength, and you might need to use quite a bit. It just kind of depends on where you are with your body today. So let's again, on the inhale, lengthen. On the exhale, draw the navel away from your thighs and start to just roll your hips and your pelvis back towards your mat. And then you'll bring yourself back up to that nice lengthened position. We're going to go one more time. This time we're rolling all the way down onto our mat. So take a big breath in, find that length. And as you exhale, the navel moves away from your thighs. Your hips, pelvis are tipping back towards your mat. And the hands start to drape along the sides of the body as your spine makes its way onto the mat as well as your head. So here, make any adjustments you feel like you need to. You need to walk your feet in closer to your body. That's fine, but make sure your feet are firmly planted down on your mat. And let's keep the knees together as if you have, let's say, a $300 Amazon gift card between your knees, and you're just trying to hold on to that for right now. So I want you to imagine just, again, that length through the back of your body. We're going to start to just move into some breathing and use our breath to help us with our movements and to help us connect more to the deep abdominal muscles. So on your inhale, take a breath in through your nose, growing in diameter in your ribs and your lungs. And on the exhale, you'll let the air come out gently through your lips. So the inhale is through the nose, and the exhalation is coming out through the mouth, but it's nice and gentle. So it's a detoxifying breath, and that exhalation, I want you to just imagine you have a big balloon in your belly, and as you exhale that breath out, you're trying to deflate that balloon. Hollow out your belly, cinch in the sides of your waist. So one more time, a big breath in through your nose. And as you exhale, you're hollowing out your tummy, deflating that balloon. Now, let's start to think about some mobility in our hips and pelvis, which we already found when we rolled onto our mat. But I want you to start to think about your belly now as if it has a pool of water, a swimming pool of water in your belly, in your abdominal area. You can even just bring your hands up to your belly to kind of get a sense of what that feels like. And in the position that you're in now, where the natural curvature of your spine is on the mat, so maybe there's just a little bit of space under your back, enough for a little light breeze to pass underneath. This is a neutral position. We're going to go between, we're going to kind of do some pelvic rocking and actually move in and out of that neutral position just to create some mobility. So let's start by taking that pool of water and allowing it to kind of splash upward towards our chin and towards our upper body. So to do that, you're going to start to imprint your spine, your lower back into the mat, and tip your tailbone and tip your butt cheeks kind of up and away from your mat. And then you'll bring everything back to where you started from, that neutral position. So now you've got that nice calm pool of water. And then we'll go the other way. So now you'll create more of a pronounced arch in your lower back and tip your tailbone down towards the mat. And going between that, let's find an inhale. And then exhale to imprint and tip your bottom or your tailbone away from the mat. And then as you inhale, you'll dive your tailbone forward and find a little more pronounced arch to your back. So exhale to imprint. Really feel the navel drawing down towards the mat. And on the inhale, you pass through neutral, going back to that little arch, tipping the tailbone down. Just do that a few times.
Right outside their door.
And we'll make our way back to neutral. So now let's think about trying to keep the hips and the pelvis stable. Let's find some stability. So we just had some mobility, but now we want to keep everything from the hips all the way up to the shoulders, the trunk of our body nice and still. And you can bring your hands to where your hip bones might be, or maybe you can feel your hip bones on your own body. And let's try to keep the hips and pelvis still as we take a big breath in and lift our right foot off of the mat, bringing that right leg into a tabletop position so that your shin is parallel to the floor. On your next exhale, set your right foot back down. And then we'll switch to the other side. So it's an inhale, brings that left foot off of the mat, bringing the leg to tabletop. And the exhale brings it back down. So just alternating side to side. An inhale lifts the leg up, and an exhale lowers it down. And each time you find that exhalation, I want you to think about your navel or your belly button drawing down towards the mat or the floor underneath you. If you want to make this more challenging for yourself, you could start lifting both legs up at the same time. So on that inhale, you're bringing both feet off the mat. You'll really feel those abdominals engaged and start to contract. And then the exhale brings them down. And if you notice my legs, they're not changing shape. So I'm not bending at my knee joint. I'm actually moving from my hip. My pelvis is staying nice and still, but the work is coming from that hip joint. The shape of my leg stays the same as the legs move up and down. So now let's keep both feet on the mat. And we're going to still try to keep the hips and the pelvis nice and still. Just bring your hands to drape along the sides of your body, shoulders kind of drawing away from your ears. And just imagine your chest is nice and broad and you're wide from shoulder to shoulder. And I want you to take a deep breath in and just allow your right leg to elongate on your mat. So that right leg straightens. And on your exhale, you'll start to drag that foot back in and align your right leg with your left. And alternating from side to side. Inhale, the left leg will lengthen. And on the exhale, the left foot drags back in and the right and left leg meet. So just doing that a few times. The inhale is the lengthening of the leg and the exhale brings the leg back home. So really think about as you're exhaling and bringing that leg home, again, trying to draw that navel down. Maybe you can find a little more imprint with your spine into the mat underneath you. Keeping everything in your trunk nice and still.
Go hack 'em.
From here, let's keep both legs together. And we're going to come into an upper abdominal curl. I like to call this my 100 curl. So lifting just the head, the neck, and the shoulders off the mat. Imagine you've got like a little lime or a little cutie tangerine between your chin and your chest, and you're just holding it there. And as you curl up further, your fingertips are reaching long on your mat, and you can feel the ribs and the hips coming closer together to contract the abdominals. And then just lowering that head back down. So let's take a deep breath in through the nose. On the exhale, start to pick up the head, the neck, and the shoulders, reaching those fingertips long on your mat, feeling those abdominals really contract, and then lower back down. We'll do that one more time, and then we're going to stay up and lift it in this upper abdominal curl, this 100 curl, and move into our Pilates 100. So just start pumping your arms. Everything else in your body stays nice and still. Imagine that you're slapping water to make waves in the ocean. Maybe you pick up one foot off the mat, coming into that tabletop position. Maybe you switch.
Maybe
Maybe you bring up both. We're gonna take a big inhale and exhale. Inhale for 5 pumps and exhale for 5 pumps. Inhale for 5 and exhale for 5. And if your head is getting tired, set your head down, but keep those arms pumping. I'm trying to get your body warmed up and that blood circulating through your body. Let's just do one more. And we'll bring whatever feet are up, bring them back to the mat, set your head down for a nice rest. We're going to work on some roll-ups now, so just rolling ourselves up off of the mat. And there's a couple different ways to do this, and again, depending upon where your body is today, you might pick a different variation. So I'm going to give you a couple options. Let's start by just reaching the arms up towards the ceiling. And I really want you to think about the shoulder blades or the wings on your back kind of gently drawing together. Okay, and from here, we'll reach the arms back behind us slowly, but only going as far as you can until you feel like those ribs are going to flare up towards the ceiling. I like to kind of call this the gymnast finish, where that back arches and you're kind of showing everyone, look what I've done. I've just performed this great routine. See if you can keep those ribs from flaring. And let's take another big breath in and start to bring the arms forward. On your exhale, you're going to pick up your head, neck, and shoulders. And now maybe you bring your hands behind your thighs and use your upper body to help pull you up, keeping your feet on the mat. And then we'll just find that length in our spine again as we inhale and exhale, hollow out your tummy. And start to just roll back onto your mat again. Bringing your hands away from your thighs whenever it's available to you. We'll bring the arms up overhead again and just reaching them back. Find a nice big inhale to start the movement of the arms coming forward. The exhale brings up the head, neck, and shoulders. And maybe this time you don't need to use your arms at all. And then we'll roll all the way back down, maybe keeping those arms extended out in front of you. You're like, well, this doesn't really work for me. Maybe when you come forward, you bring your hands behind your thighs, pull your knees in, and kind of rock forward and back on your spine until you're able to come up to a seated position. And then roll yourself back. Maybe it's easier to go down than come up, so maybe letting go with the arms, reaching back. And if you're really feeling strong here, straighten those legs out, flex your feet, hug the midline of your body. And as the arms come forward on your inhale, exhale, bringing the head, neck, and shoulders up, peeling your spine off the mat. Try to keep the backs of the legs and the heels pressing down. Coming up just to find a little bit of length here, and then tipping your hips and your pelvis back again, finding that spinal articulation. Low back, middle back, upper back. One more time, we're going to make our way down onto our mat. And we're going to stay here this time. You can have the option of letting your left leg either stay long or bending it. But we're going to bring the right leg into our chest and then extend it up to the ceiling. And if you're tight in your hamstrings, you might want to bend your knee a little bit. If you're not so tight in your hamstrings, just flex, keeping that leg nice and long with the toes a little bit soft. So let's think about that stability in the hips and the pelvis again. The trunk of your body staying nice and still. And imagine that you're going to draw little circles on the ceiling above you with your toe. So I'm actually letting the whole leg move from the hip joint as I circle my leg around. And your circle might be smaller or bigger than mine. But again, we're working from that hip joint. Really trying to pull the belly down, finding that hollowness as the leg sweeps around. Inhale to go crossing over the opposite leg. Exhale to come home. Inhale and exhale. Let's reverse. Inhale, open. Exhale to come home. Inhale. exhale to come home. 2 more.
Don't you think, Rob?
Now we'll draw the right leg back in towards our body and let that leg just slide back down on the mat. We'll draw the left leg into the chest, and again, you can plant your right foot down and bend that knee, whatever feels right for you. And we'll make little circles with the other leg. So inhale, exhale, coming home. I'm crossing over my body to start. And as the leg returns back to center, I'm really trying to draw the abdominals down. Pull the navel down towards the spine. Let's reverse. Inhale to open, exhale to come home. Trying to keep everything else in my body except for this working leg nice and still. 1 more. Bend that left knee in, bring your foot to the mat, and let that leg stretch out nice and long. Now let's reach our arms back 1 more time. Take a big inhale as the arms come forward. Exhale, the chin is coming up, the head, the shoulders, and we're coming off our mat. And maybe you have to bend your knees, pull yourself up, whatever works for your body. Okay, I want you to pull your legs in nice and tight, kind of how we first started. And just keep your hands behind the backs of your thighs here. And I want you to get tall through the back of your body. Gaze down at your feet or the space between your knees. And see if you can start to pull your navel away from your thighs, tipping your hips and your pelvis back. Just enough to kind of get behind those bones underneath your bottom that you feel. And maybe then your body will kind of alert you to this urge to maybe pick up your feet. Finding your balance point. And from here, we're going to try an exercise called rolling like a ball. So think about your spine and your body like a wheel. You're going to roll your body like a wheel. So I'm going to gaze down at my navel. Okay, and as I do that, I'm going to roll back quickly to my just no further than shoulders. So trying to keep your head off the mat, and then try to bring myself up quickly. And the trickiest part is just balancing, hovering your feet on the mat. Inhale back. Exhale, coming forward. And again, if this doesn't work for you, if you're having trouble coming forward, just starting with your feet on the mat and keeping those hands behind your thighs, rolling back, and then coming forward. Or maybe rolling your hips and pelvis back and just hovering your feet. And then bringing your feet back to the mat. Hi, puppy. And from here,